Thoughts come and go. Feelings come and go. Find out what it is that remains. Ramana Maharshi. Hello and welcome to Self-Talk. Thank you for being here. Recently, one of my clients asked, what is the emotion of the highest self? I mean, if the goal is to reconnect with and be guided by this part of ourselves, then what's the end goal? What feeling is the highest self supposed to have? Which is a great question. Well, the thing is this, the highest self doesn't have an emotion. The highest self is non-dual presence. And so it is the state of infinite potentiality. So that means it is all the emotions, and it is none of them. With that in mind, let's talk today about emotions and thoughts and the self. The difference between what we experience and what we truly are. Because most of us have been conditioned to believe that our thoughts and feelings define us, we use I am language when we describe them, such as I am angry, I am frustrated, I am excited. It feels really real in that moment, but those experiences are not the essence of who you are. They are movements through consciousness, through your experience. They are not your identity. In other words, the state of infinite potentiality, the quantum field, pure consciousness of which you are and come from, chose a potential feeling and then poof, you're experiencing it. Remembering that we are not our feelings or our thoughts is how we begin to reclaim our power, to really get a practical foundation of self underneath us. Now, I want to be clear as we get into all of this. This is not about suppressing emotions. It's not about becoming detached robots kind of floating above the human experience. I mean, we have enough of that already. Humanity is already full of emotionally unavailable people. That's not what we're talking about. This is about understanding that while thoughts and emotions are real experiences in this energetic iteration we call our life, they are also transient. And something within us, this is important, something within us remains present through all of them, all of those emotions, all of those thoughts. And that something is awareness. That something is the eternal self, the capital S self that we talk about a lot. Many of us grew up with this idea that anything divine, so since we're talking about pure consciousness, the quantum field, God, Godhead, something divine, something infinite, exists somewhere above us. I think it's important for us to have this kind of proprioception as it relates to this more metaphysical work. This idea that God is up there or the universe is out there, that source is something distant that we're trying to connect to. Where do we show up? Where does our individual self show up in all of that? And because of this, we often relate to ourselves as small, separate beings trying to earn closeness to something greater. But non-dual traditions like Advaita Vedanta offer a radically different understanding of that. They teach that there is no true separation between the individual self and the universal field of consciousness. The Atman, which is also how it's known, the deepest self, is not separate from Brahman, the infinite field. In other words, the field is not outside of you, it is you. You are not a disconnected fragment kind of wandering through the universe. You are the universe expressing itself as this particular life, this particular energetic iteration, as this body, this mind, this perspective. Even your body itself is a unique arrangement of atoms vibrating at a particular frequency. Your individuality is not a mistake. It is a specific expression of the field becoming conscious of itself in this form. That's why you matter so deeply. You are not separate from the whole because you are a unique iteration of it. This is really important to keep in mind as we talk about the thoughts, feelings, emotions that move through this particular unique iteration. So let's talk about those thoughts and emotions. Thoughts arise constantly. That's the nature of being human. We have something like over 6,000 thoughts a day, and some of them are useful. Some of them are just conditioned narratives that we have inherited from our family, culture, society. And the underdeveloped ego tends to believe that if I think it, it must be true. But thoughts are simply events in consciousness. They are not our identity. Now, here's a great way to test that. Ask yourself, simple question, who is having this thought? Further, once that thought goes, who is left to think the next one? Right? And emotions are similar. They are energetic experiences created through our perception, our association with what we're receiving, our memory, our interpretation, and all of them swell up in us and move on. They're transient. They rise and fall like the waves in the ocean. Hi, it's Rachel here. If you'd like to dive deeper into self-development, but you're looking for an alternative to traditional talk therapy, maybe you want to eliminate self-doubt and begin to live your true calling in this life. Maybe you're looking for community and connection. Then the Write Yourself Open program may be perfect for you. For a full year, we meet bi-weekly for guided meditation, reflective journaling, and group discussion. This isn't just another personal development course. Write Yourself Open combines the best of individual therapy, group therapy, creative arts, and spiritual practice. You'll have access to a private podcast of all the guided meditations so you can work with them whenever you want. You'll also get monthly one-on-one sessions with me for personal support, not to mention that community of like minds. Those aren't actually all the perks you get, so visit writeyourselfopen.com to learn more and to register. Join anytime. You don't have to have any previous meditation or writing experience. That's writeyourselfopen.com. Now, back to the episode. So think about that for a minute. If you've ever had an emotion that remained exactly the same forever. No, you haven't. We'd all love to be in a state of orgasmic bliss for all the time, but that's not how it works. They form and they unform. But still, something remains aware throughout all of it. The highest self knows this because it is not limited to the temporary movements of the mind. It is the eternal self, the capital S self. This is the self before you had a name, before you had a story, before the world told you who you were supposed to be. This is your soul, the Atman, the core being. Here's the important realization. Even when you are thinking, awareness is there. Even when you are emotional, awareness is there. And again, you can prove this to yourself immediately. So right now, everybody, notice a thought, any thought. Now ask yourself, who noticed that thought? Something is aware of it. And if something is aware of the thought, then the awareness itself cannot be the thought. And that's the same for emotions. You can say, I'm noticing sadness, which means that sadness is being observed. You are the observer and the observed. Further, you are the origin of the observation, since all things come from somewhere, including you. Again, we could call that the quantum field, pure consciousness, whatever is the great generator of energy. So, how do we deal with thoughts and emotions? Let's take anxiety. That's an easy one. Anxiety arises and we become anxious. We say, I am anxious. And then that wave becomes our identity. But if anxiety arises and we notice, interesting, anxiety is present in me right now, now we're experiencing awareness of the emotion or the thought. And that means there's space for that witnessing. So we're taking a step back and saying, interesting, anxiety has come to visit. Or for those of you who have worked with me, anxiety is knocking on the door of my cottage and is asking to be invited into the long wooden table to sit down and have a cup of tea. It is not you. You are the host of the feeling, of the thought. Okay? When we believe every thought, that's when we suffer, unnecessarily. When we identify completely with our emotions, they begin to run the show. And I know we have all experienced what that feels like. But awareness changes our relationship to experience. We begin responding instead of reacting. We stop obeying every passing internal storm. This is deeply connected to what we've been talking about for some time now. This is the foundation of self and the pillars of non-judgment, which allows us to have these thoughts and emotions without shame. Awareness, which allows us to observe rather than to fuse with those feelings or thoughts. And gentleness, that allows us to remain compassionate toward our humanity. The goal here is not to stop being human. Good luck. The goal is to remember that what you are ultimately is larger than anything that passes through you. That is the true foundation of self. The foundation of self is that you are an iteration of pure consciousness. So let's do a brief practice together. I'm going to take a slow breath in through the nose and exhale. Now just bring to mind a thought or emotion that you've been experiencing recently. Maybe it's just stress, or it's a particular fear or frustration. It might just be uncertainty. Just take a moment to bring it in and notice it. Now gently ask yourself, who is having this thought? All right, so don't think about it, just notice who is having this thought. Now ask, who is aware of this emotion? And finally, ask the question, when this thought or emotion passes, what remains? And just stay there for a moment. Again, not forcing an answer, just notice what arises. Interesting, right? So remember, thoughts come and go, emotions rise and fall, but awareness remains, like the ocean beneath the waves. So as you move through your week, I invite you to keep this in mind. You are allowed to think, you are allowed to feel, you are allowed to be beautifully, deeply human, but you do not need to hand your entire identity over to every passing thought or emotion, because what you are is larger than all of that. You are not separate from the field. You are the field, becoming conscious of itself through this particular life, this particular body, this particular moment. So go ahead, feel fully, think deeply. Remember that the sky is never harmed by the weather moving through it. And neither are you. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. Hi, this is Rachel Astarte from the Self-Talk Podcast. I'd love for you to send me your emails with questions or stories about yourself. What are you looking for? What are your questions? What are you grappling with in your own personal life that has to do with your identity, with yourself, with your very existence? These are the things that we're going to talk about during the podcast. And go ahead, it's all right, get deep. I can handle it. So send them to rachel@selftalkpodcast.com. And I'll see you on the next episode.